Hello and welcome back. Before we get started with this episode, a small correction from the last episode. When I installed Omega Updated, I installed the most recent version, which is 2.2.1, but we're actually supposed to be installing 2.2, and it even tells you this to download the old files. That's only because the guide hasn't updated to incorporate the newest one. I did it off camera. I installed the um, correct version and just replaced the one I already had. Um, the install is basically exactly the same as before. You just had to have the correct file downloaded. Alright, moving on, we are going on to the next page, part 2 of the mod installs. I downloaded quite a few mods. I don't know if I downloaded enough for a long episode, but we'll see how far we go. First up, we have Cathedral Weathers and Seasons. Manual, set data, looks good. No for extracting. Next, Cathedral Weathers MCM. Looks good. Next up, Real Rain has a faux mod. We want Real Rain default and install. There we go. Also has special instructions that it says it needs to have the ESL flag, so let's run SSE edit after we activate all of them. Oops, it was already selected. Run. Select none, scroll to the bottom, and we want the Real Rain ESP. Alright, we want record flags, edit, yes I'm sure, ESL, okay, we can close that, okay. Next up, Lucid Rain for Cathedral Weathers. Looks good. Next up, Obsidian Mountain Fog. Looks good. Next up, Storm Lightning for SSE and VR. Has a faux mod. And let's go ahead and get ready for the faux mod. There we go. Alright, Skyrim Special Edition, obviously. We want 1.5.97. We want the ESL flagged. Halo with dimmer, level 0. Again, Halo with dimmer, level 0. Halo dimmer, level 1. And Halo dimmer, level 1. Install. Put that back where it was. Next up, we have Wonders of Weather. Again, with a faux mod. We want that, but none of those. Install. It has a BSA, but we do not want to extract. Next up, we have Ethereal Clouds, Special Edition. Set data, looks good. Next up, we have Enb Helper. Set data. Okay. Let's go ahead and activate those. Skyrim Particle Patch for ENB. Oh wait, I believe that's a manual file. Yeah. Set data. Looks good. After installing, let's open it up. Go to File Tree, and we need to delete the following files and or folders. The ESP, and let's delete that first. Delete. Yes. And then we want to go to Meshes, Magic, and we were looking for Light Spell Actor FX.nif. Light Spell Actor FX. Yep, that's it. Delete. Yes. Close. Alright, that looked good. Moving on to ELE. Set data. It's good. Okay, and we have a bunch of optional files. Manual looks good. Make sure you change the name since these are optional files, so they'll be installed to their own folders. And this is the False Scar patch. Looks good. Elgin Reborn patch. Looks good. Lexy Dragonborn patch. Looks good. And Medieval Lanterns of Sky. Whoops. Looks good. Okay. And we need to delete the ELE SSE LOTD.esp, which I believe will be in the Legacy of the Dragonborn patch. Yep. So we need to delete that. And it has a replacer ESP. So that's going to be in manual downloads. And I'm just going to copy and paste it back here. There we go. Now we can activate all of those. Next up, ELE ELFX consistency patch and tweaks has a faux mod. Next, we want the AIO. Next, and finish. Alright. Moving on to general world improvement, we have the Better Falmer Cave Ceiling Glow. Set data. Okay. Next we have Better Dynamic Snow. We want SMIM and none. We want no snow under roof and install. Next up we have Better Dynamic Ash. Looks good. Next up we have Stallroom. Looks good. Next up we have SMIM with a faux mod. Okay, we want the special edition everything. Install. Alright, next up we have Ruins Clutter Improved. We want install everything. Next. And let's go ahead and activate these. Next up we have an update file, and updates, unlike optionals or miscellaneous, do get merged with their original file, so merge. Once that's done, we go into the file tree, and we want to delete meshes, dungeons, imperial, portcullis small, and we want imp portcullis small 01.nif. Delete, yes, close. Alright, next up we have Noble Skyrim Special Edition Performance Version. Manual, looks good. This might take a minute. It was a fairly large download, I believe. 1 gig. It's a decent sized download. Alright, and it has an update file. Set data, okay, and merge since it's an update. Next up we have Mysterious Dawn's HD Skyrim Overhaul. Manual, looks good. Okay, that one took a little bit, so I'll probably have cut part of that out. Moving on, we have Northern Shores. Set data, looks good. Next up, we have Spice of Life, Orc Longhouses. We want the 2K texture, and we want LOD's 512. Install. Activate, and moving on, we have Skyrim 3D High Hrothgar Steps. Set data again, and it looks good. Next up, we have Better Signage. Set data, looks good. Next up, ELFX with a foam mod. We want main, then we want ambiance none. Next, we want both of these, and none of the patches. Next, optionals none. Install. Next up, Reduced Glow FX. Looks good. Remove Ugly Torch Glow. Looks good. Unofficial Enhanced Lights and FX ELFX SMIM FPS patch for SE. Foam mod. Well, there's only one option, so. Next up, Relighting Skyrim, tailored for ELFX Special Edition. And once again, this is coming from a page that had multiple mods, so make sure we select the right name. Manual. Set data. Okay. Next, we have improved hearth fire lighting, SE. Manual. Looks good. Now we have Medieval Lanterns of Skyrim. We have a main file. Set data. Set data again. Looks good. No for extracting. Next up we have an optional. So it gets its own file name. We want the lights off script name. Manual. Set data. Set data. Looks good. Next up we have a miscellaneous file, which has a faux mod, and it looks like we select everything except for the Telengard one. And install. Oh, forgot to rename it. There we go. Next up we have Soul Cairn HD. Looks good. We need to go into the file tree, and we're looking for textures, DLC1, excuse me, Soul Cairn, and we are looking for bwall base 2 underscore p. We are looking for sc underscore by door underscore p. We are looking for sc bone tile underscore p. We are looking for scm floor underscore p. And we are looking for spire basic underscore p. Okay, delete all of those. Next up, we are moving on to city retextures. Frankly HD Markarth. As faux mod, we want both of these. Install. Next we have Skyland Solitude. Set data twice, and OK. Skyland Winterhold. Set data twice, OK. Activate those. Next up we have Clutter and Miscellaneous. Animated Clutter SSE. We want Custom. Alright, I'm going to maximize, just to make it a little easier to read. Alright, we want all three of these. all of these. All of these. We want Falmer chests, burial urn, common barrel, Dwemer convector, Dwemer dresser, elder scroll chest, knapsack, noble chest, orc end table, sacks closed, sacks opened, satchel, Sovngarde mead barrel, strongbox, Thieffield cache, wall cage, winterhold, wrapped draugr, all three of these, ship trapdoors but not idols, farmhouse, hearthfire, imperial, winterhold. Okay. We want both of the next one. Next. And there's only one option on this page, so install. Alright. Enhanced ore veins. I can barely read these, but it's enough to get by. Okay, there we go. That's an easy FOMOD to read, so we're good there. Just double checking there's no special instructions I'm missing. Alright, we want High Poly Statue, Nord Hero Greatsword, and we want the No Snow Under Roof patch, and we want Snow Nord Hero Greatsword. Okay. Create all of those. Next up, Blood Challenge Reborn. Chalice Reborn, not Challenge. Set data. Looks good. Dark Brotherhood tenants restored. High resolution. Install. Dressed Hearthfire Doll. We want default, 0 human, and we want red. Install. Next, easier lockpicking without cheating. Set data, looks good. Next, Forgotten Retext Project. And we want all of the options. Install. And again, this is miscellaneous, so it goes into its own file. Okay. Next up, we have horn candles. Just one option for the FOMOD, so it's good. Next up, JS Dragon Claws. Looks good. And then the JS Dragon Claw patches. They're all main files, so they'll be separate mods. Set data, looks good. Set data, looks good. Set data, looks good. Okay. Maps. Set data, looks good. Next up, hold border banners. Set data again, looks good. No on extracting. We open it up, go to file tree, and we want to delete the BSA. Okay, and close. Alright, next up we have Peltapalooza Special Edition. Looks good. Realistic HD baskets. Realistic HD food. Set data, looks good. After food is installed, we can go in and delete some stuff. File tree, and we want meshes, clutter, food, and we want to delete cheese wedge 02, cheese wheel 02, and cheese wheel 02B. Let's see, A and B, and cheese wedge. There we go. Delete the selected files. Close that. Next up we have Realistic HD Mushrooms. Set data. Looks good. Next up we have the High Poly Project. It's just too, how's it just looping? Alright. We want install everything. Next. Nope, we do not want to install statues. Leave that unchecked. Install. And we want to go in to file tree, and we're looking for meshes, clutter, candles, and we want, oh, the entire folder, I guess. Delete. Yes. Then we want meshes, clutter, wine, and we want wine bottle 02.nif or 02b.nif. Delete. Yes. And then we want meshes furniture. Cart. The entire folder. Okay. Delete. Yes. Close. Next up we have Ren's HD Shrines. Okay, this looks like an involved faux mod. So I'm going to maximize, make it easier to read. Alright, Sands of Time, Red Heart, Spring of Love, Magic circles, nope, we want all-seeing eye. Next up we want heavenly air. We want gilded saint. We want tusk of mercy, rusted steel, and golden circuit. Install. Right. Next up we have retexture for soup. Looks good. Revamped assets Skyrim, another faux mod. This one's a lot easier. Alright, we want custom install. We want none, 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 and then under furniture we want install all, and traps we want none. Okay, that makes it easy. And afterwards we need to go in file tree. We want meshes, furniture. We want to delete everything that starts with enchanting, so both of these. Yes. Then we want to go to meshes, furniture, workbenches, and we want disenchant workbench 01, and again everything else that starts with enchanting. Then we want to go to meshes, load screen art, load screen enchanting workbench.nif. Then we want to go to textures, Jiffy MMM, and we want to delete the entire RAS folder. Okay, that's it for that. Moving on to Ragnarok. Set data, looks good. Next up, Rustic, Alchemy, and Enchanting tables. We have the main file. Set data, looks good. Then we have an optional file, so we need to rename that. Manual, set data, looks good. Go ahead and activate those. Then we have to go in and delete the following files and or folders. I'm assuming from the main file, but I'll check the optional in just a second. We want textures, dungeons, delete the entire folder. Okay. Now let's look at the optional. Okay, this one didn't have a dungeons folder, so we don't have to worry about it. Next up, Rustic Amulets, Special Edition. Set data, looks good. Rustic Clutter Collection, Special Edition. Set data, looks good. Next up, Rustic Cooking Special Edition. Set data, looks good. Rustic Furniture. Looks good. Rustic Dragon Corpse. Set data again, looks good. Rustic East Empire Company signage. Rustic Elder Scroll. And Rustic Animated Potions and Poisons. Set data, looks good. And it has an update file, so we'll keep the name the same. Set data, looks good. And merge. Okay, Rustic Soul Gems Special Edition. Has a faux mod. We want 2K texture. And we want the unsorted plus ESL plus GIST. Install. Rustic Azura Star. Set data, looks good. Septums, looks good. Sigils of Skyrim. Set data, looks good. Snazzy Furniture and Clutter Overhaul has a faux mod. It's a little hard to read, so let's go full screen. Not that one, that one. Okay. We want Mix and Match plugin, USEP. We want Arthmore Villages, Alternate Start, Cutting Room Floor, ELFX, Falskar, Helgen Reborn, Immersive Citizens, Interesting NPCs, Legacy of the Dragonborn, and Worm's Tooth. Next, we want the desaturated textures. Install. Okay, let's go back to split screen. Okay, and we want, oh, this was a optional file. Manual. Set data, looks good. Ooh. I didn't realize I'd forgotten to activate that many. There we go. Onto Solitude and Temple Frescoes. Looks good. We want to delete the three of the ESPs. We want Solitude Temple Frescoes, Frescoes Expanded, and Frescoes Small. We're going to keep the Frescoes big. Okay, close. Stunning Statues of Skyrim. Has a faux mod with lots of really tiny text, so back to full screen. Alright, so we want Bella de Bella, Neat Nocturnal, Something Azura, Terrific Talos, Isgrimor, Meridia, Malakath, Winterhold, Clavicus, Boethia, Namira, Amara, Mayroon, Vermina, Spicy Skyforge, Fancy Falmer, Sweet Sovngarde. Next, HD, and we want Debella 2K. Next, HD Nocturnal 2K. Next, HD Azura 2K. Yep. None and Talos 2K. HD Isgrimor 2K. HD Meridia Black 2K. Next. Let's see. HD No Glow for Stone. And 2K Stone. Next. Enb HD Default Cape. And we want 4K for that one. Next. Default Mask, and we want 2K. Next. HD Mesh. 4K. Next. HD Mesh. 2K. Next. HD Mesh. 2K. Next. HD Mesh. Mayron's Green 2K. HD Mesh. Vermina 4K. Skyforge 4K. Oh, not Skyforge Steel, just Skyforge. I think I made that mistake last time. Next. HD Mesh. Falmer Rusty Copper 4K. HD Mesh. Sovngarde 4K. Install. Phew, that was a long one. Next up, Subliminal Traps. Okay, this is probably the only instance during this guide install that I will intentionally deviate from the guide. The guide has you install the Invisible Tripwire and Sovngarde Edition. I'm going to be installing the default one, which has slightly transparent tripwire instead of invisible tripwire. I'm still installing the Sovngarde Edition for the pressure plates, but the invisible tripwires are just a little too much for me. I prefer to be able to at least have a chance of spotting them. But that's the only point in the guide that I will intentionally make a deviation. And I could have just installed the invisible ones for the video and then gone back and changed it, but meh. Set data. That looks good. Then install Sovngarde Edition manually. Set data. But you do need to change it since it's an optional file. And just so I can remember what this is without having to think about it too hard, I'm going to add subliminal traps to the name. Because just seeing Sovngarde Edition wouldn't immediately trigger the mod name in my head if I were looking at this, 2 or 3 weeks from now, trying to figure out what the heck is Sovngarde Edition. Alright, moving on. Oh, not moving on, because that was the last mod I had downloaded for the moment. In the next episode, we'll continue on after I've downloaded some more mods. I think this ended up being a fairly decent length of video, so I think I measured out the number of mods quite well. Thank you for joining me. I will see you in the next one.